And if we don't do this, if we fail future generations, we'll be scorned upon should anything happen to this critical lifeblood of our region. So we know the great potential. We're going to make this investment, but this federal money, thank you, President Biden, for understanding how important this is. We cannot do this alone. The Secretary knows this. He's always being asked all the time for money. It's like when I'm walking around Albany, and the mayor, everybody's got their hands out. I understand this, but now it's my chance to have my hands out. And I'm going to take advantage of this, almost $300 million in funding to be a catalyst to get this project going, the first demonstrative step to make this historic project a reality. And let's not forget, we love infrastructure, moving people, all this. 72,000 jobs are associated with this project. I think that gets a round of applause because as I was coming here, I was thinking about what does 72,000 jobs look and feel like. We have about 1,500 towns and cities in the state of New York. I only have 25 that are bigger than 72,000. I mean, that's bigger than most of the towns in the state of New York. The number of people, Gary LaBarbera is excited about this. We're going to be putting so many men and women to work, and we're going to train them and help lift them up and out of their circumstances. That's what the power of these projects is all about. It's not just about the future, that's important, but today, people need these jobs. And that's why we are acting with such urgency. And I'll also say one more thing. It's a great to have a tunnel. Not a lot of people are actually going to see this. Let's talk about what they're going to actually see. Let's talk about a revitalized, brand new Penn Station. Because we have gone too long in the darkness, my friends. I've described this as the 7 levels of hell. I drop my little girl off and I say, hope I see you again, darling. It's not that bad, everybody. But the reality is, our president, when he was vice president, pointed out that LaGuardia, years ago, third world country, that might be insulting to the third world countries, I don't know. But you think about that today, we don't have what this community, this state, this region, this country deserves in Penn Station. And that's why, with support from the federal government, support from New Jersey, we're working as partners to make sure that the experience is uplifting and beautiful for everyone who comes through that station. Because when I was a much younger staffer for Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan in Washington, he said the demolition of Penn Station was one of the greatest crimes, greatest civic crimes ever committed in our history. Well, we have a plan to solve that crime, Senator Moynihan. We're going to fix it. We're going to get it right. And so we will have a project that's worthy of this community, worthy of our neighbors in New Jersey and everyone who visits. So I'm excited. I love projects like this. I must have played with a lot of Legos when I was a little kid. I definitely had a train set because this is energetic. This says we're moving forward. We're not stagnating in the past or the COVID world that paralyzed us for too long. We're reaching out into the future and seizing it with gusto. And I'm energized, excited. I'm so proud to be here today with President Joe Biden, a great president who has been here every step of the way for New York, and also to have great partners like our great friend across the river. We don't always, well, I guess we do share sports teams. We do share teams, right? We do share teams. Yes. Got pretty far with the Giants this year, but a great friend to all of us, our governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy.
Kathy, thank you, and thank you for your partnership. I have to tell you, there were a bunch of folks in South Jersey who were really thrilled that the Empire State Building was in green. There are a lot of folks in Central and North Jersey who I think wanted to come over and switch the lights, but more on that at some other point. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. Thank you so much for everything you do, and to all the distinguished guests. It is incredible to be back with the President, and I want to thank him for his continued commitment to what is unequivocally the most important infrastructure project in our country, the Gateway Program. I was honored to stand with the President fall of 21 on the other side of the Hudson when we kicked off the work to build the new Portal North Bridge. But the tracks that will be laid on that span won't end there. They will come through this new tunnel. So I am honored to stand again with the President, Governor, congressional leaders from both chambers in both states to get this project underway. And beyond the President, I want to thank, and Governor Hochul, I also want to thank Secretary Pete Buttigieg and your team at the U.S. Department of Transportation. Polly and the rest have been extraordinary. And I want to acknowledge the other many organizations represented here today: Amtrak, NJ Transit, MTA, Port Authority, Gateway Development Commission, and others for their partnership. And again, to the congressional members of both chambers and both states, I thank you for your dedicated and passionate work in leading the charge here. So this new tunnel that will, while it will connect New Jersey and New York, it isn't just about, as Kathy alluded to, it isn't just about New Jersey and New York. Yes, it's partly about easing the commutes and relieving the daily headaches of tens of thousands of New Jerseyans who will rely on this tunnel to get to work or get to school or to visit friends or family in the city, or, by the way, have them come from the city back out to Jersey. Yes, it is certainly about the many thousands of good-paying union jobs this project will create and the families that in turn those jobs will support. But more broadly, it's about maintaining the strength of the entire Northeast corridor, from Boston to Washington, D.C., through which so much of our nation's economic lifeblood flows. When trains can't get through the current cramped tunnel, not just the entire Northeast corridor, but our entire economy comes to a halt. People can't get to work, commuters' safety is compromised, trains are left idling, fouling our air. So these tunnels and bridges that we're talking about were built during the administration of one of our most visionary presidents, Theodore Roosevelt. In case anyone hasn't counted for you math majors out there, he left office 114 years ago. I was thinking the president's making a lot of progress. Yesterday he was in a tunnel, Mr. Secretary, during the administration of Ulysses Grant, I believe it was built. Now we're moving into the 20th century, happily, and one of these days we'll get into the 21st, I hope sooner than later. And so today we stand with President Joe Biden, who is bringing, by the way, an equally impactful and modern vision to our nation's infrastructure. Our region and our nation can't wait any longer. And I've been saying since the day I took office just over 5 years ago that the time for Gateway is now. And with that, I know Governor Hochul will join me in saying it takes a village. For all of her great work and all of our great work on the Jersey side, congressional delegation, the many organizations represented here today, not only do we need a visionary president, but we need equally a visionary secretary of the Department of Transportation. Please help me welcome that man, Pete Buttigieg.
Thanks very much, Governor Murphy, and I want to applaud you and Governor Hochul for the extraordinary work, both together and separately, working for the benefit of your states in ways that are going to be indispensable to the continued revitalization of the infrastructure in this region. It is great to be with leaders who understand the importance of infrastructure. And I'm delighted to be here with all of you today celebrating this very, very good news, because this is yet another example of what President Joe Biden's vision for building a better America looks like. Yesterday, as the governor mentioned, we were at the Baltimore and Potomac tunnels in Maryland, marking a project that will finally replace those tunnels after a century and a half of use. And we have a similar situation here, a vital piece of infrastructure that millions of Americans count on, 200,000 a day, in fact. And it reflects the finest, most modern, state-of-the-art engineering of 1910. We cannot lead the world in this century if we depend on infrastructure from early in the last one. I saw for myself the condition of the Hudson tunnels in one of my first trips as secretary in 2021 at the insistence of Leader Schumer. So it's great to be with him along with Senators Booker and Gillibrand and Menendez and so many members of the House delegation who helped to make this infrastructure funding a reality to begin with. And likewise, Mayor, great to be with you, knowing the difference that this is going to make for so many New Yorkers. The Mega Projects Fund that is going to support this portion of the project was created by that bipartisan infrastructure law. And to illustrate the need that we're working to meet across America, I want you to know how wildly competitive this first year's funding was. We got 138 applications, and of those 138, we're able to support 9 successful project applications, including this one. The success of this application reflects the unique economic importance of this tunnel and the larger Gateway program that's going to renew critical connections in this area. If one of these tunnels were to go out of service, you would feel the economic consequences reverberate as far away as my house in Michigan and beyond. So it is truly a project of national importance. And that's why, on behalf of the Federal Transit Administration, the Federal Rail Administration, our Deputy Secretary and great New Yorker, Polly Trottenberg, and the entire team at USDOT, we are delighted at the opportunity to continue working together to help this project succeed. And I know that's not always what this region has seen out of Washington, especially just before President Biden took office. But it's a new day. Put simply, we are tearing down the political obstacles that were put in front of this project in the past and putting up more of the funding to make sure the project succeeds in the future. When we do, the results will be a stronger national economy, more resilient infrastructure, and even less pollution for an entire region. But of course, the most important results of this project won't be felt in terms of national statistics. They're going to be felt in everyday life, from the workers who will build family savings and household wealth through the good-paying jobs, the good-paying union jobs on this project, to the visitors with wide eyes making good on lifelong hopes to see this magnificent city, to working parents counting the minutes until they can get home in time for dinner with the kids, mindful that time is all we have. Millions of people are going to see their lives shaped by the success of this effort. Our twin toddlers at home are not yet old enough to be obsessed with trains, but they're about to be. And I can't wait to be riding with them through these tunnels, telling them what it took to get them done. So congratulations again to everyone who is part of this extraordinary moment, who's been looking forward to progress on this for so long, and we are ready to work together every step of the way to get it done. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Senator Bob Menendez, and Senator Cory Booker.
Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be in New York. I am delighted to be here at Hudson Yards to highlight the extraordinary difference that the Hudson River Tunnel Project will make for all those people traveling in and out of New York every day for work, for school, for tourism, and for all that New York has to offer. This project will vastly improve reliability for 200,000 daily passenger trips on Amtrak and New Jersey Transit. And it will make these tunnels more resilient in the face of future weather events. I was proud to support the bipartisan infrastructure law, which will provide a significant portion of funding for this project, as well as others in the crucial Gateway program. And I'm grateful that it will unclog the major economic bottleneck on the Northeast Corridor while helping to grow our local and national economy. But as we begin to put this project in motion, we must also make sure that we are supporting the communities that are most affected by this project. For too long, marginalized communities throughout New York and across the country have been devastated by the infrastructure projects of the past. So we must begin to create jobs and hire workers to complete these projects. We must also make sure that we are hiring directly from these communities. I'm proud that a key provision from my Build Local, Hire Local Act were included in the bipartisan infrastructure law, as they will help ensure that the use of local labor will be a priority for these critical transportation projects. The Hudson River Tunnel Project has been in the works for over a decade, and I'm so glad that this is now coming to fruition. I'm grateful for everything our president has done to make this funding possible. And I'm also so grateful for the work of Senators Booker and Senator Menendez in seeing this vision come to fruition. And Senator Schumer has been working on this project for well over a decade and has made sure that he has marshaled this project every step of the way. It's my honor to work with all three of them. Senator Menendez.
Well, thank you, Senator Gillibrand. Good afternoon to our governors, distinguished colleagues, and guests. It's an honor to be here as we mark the next phase of the Gateway program and the expansion of the Northeast Corridor. It was 12 years ago today, almost to the day, when I joined Amtrak officials and then the late Senator Frank Lautenberg to unveil our plan for a new railway link between the Garden State and the Empire State. Our journey since that press conference in 2011 has been long and winding, but today it brings me immense pleasure to say we're finally getting it done. We're getting it done thanks to this president, a president who helped pass the greatest infrastructure program since Eisenhower created the National Highway System. This is a president who knows a thing or two about trains, Mr. Secretary, a leader who will always be known as Amtrak Joe. We're getting it done thanks to colleagues in the Senate, both past and present, who never gave up in our team effort to make Gateway a reality. And lastly, we're getting it done thanks to the tireless advocacy of those of us who for over a decade have dreamed of a better Northeast Corridor for America, which is a project of national significance. This stretch of track is truly the economic lifeblood of our country, a region that contributes more than $3 trillion to our national GDP every year. But beyond the numbers of this project, beyond the millions of dollars in grant funding that we're highlighting, or the thousands of tons of concrete that will soon be poured, or the hundreds of jobs that this project will create both in construction and in the longer term, today's event in my mind is really about people. It's about communities who will enjoy cleaner air and safer, more reliable service. It's about commuters who will spend more time at home with their families, less time waiting for a delayed train. In short, it's about Little League games and dance recitals and once-in-a-lifetime memories that will be captured thanks to a transit system that works. That's what today is all about. So I want to thank President Biden for supporting Gateway, the Northeast Corridor, the region's infrastructure. It's certainly been a long journey since that first press conference in 2011, but today, surrounded by President Biden, who will be here shortly, Majority Leader Schumer, I want to give him all the credit in the world for helping us organize in a 50-50 setting, being able to get this passed in a bipartisan way. My colleagues, Senator Booker and Gillibrand, I'm grateful that we are finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and this is on track. With that, let me introduce a tremendous colleague in the United States Senate, my colleague from New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker.
All right, so this is a hallelujah moment. I feel like I need to get into church, folks. Can I hear a hallelujah, please? This is the worst church I've been to in a long time. But I will say that this is an American civic cathedral, this station right here. It represents a century plus ago, Americans coming together and doing things that weren't being done around the world. It put thousands and thousands of people to work, and we built tunnels under the Hudson River. This is the Northeast Corridor. It's a region where only 2% of America's population live, but the workers of this region contribute 20% of the American economy. This is a place of pride. It is a place of promise. But for too long, this artery has been choking the economic strength and vitality of this region. And that's why this day is indeed a hallelujah moment. Because I've been in the Senate for about 10 years, and Senator Menendez and I have been in the trenches working on this project for that long, and Senator Menendez even longer. This is a time of great gratitude. There are local leaders, many of them here before me, that showed the most incredible resilience, most incredible defiance, most incredible patriotism, knowing that this project wasn't about one state or another. This is a great American project of national significance and importance. I can't stand here with a bunch of senators without recognizing House members, because the members of the House of Representatives have been unyielding, indefatigable, and as well have been critical, essential partners for getting this done. We have a New York and New Jersey congressional House delegation like no others. They have been our champions. They have been the reason why these bipartisan bills have gotten done. Would you please give our congressional delegations a round of applause? And so I stand in humble gratitude to all the people who worked on this project to get it to this point. I stand in gratitude to Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, our incredible partners, Senator Schumer's extraordinary leadership in tough times and in tough Congress. But most of all, I want to say thank you to the President of the United States of America. We have a president that many people underestimated. He is coming off the most successful Congress in at least 50 to 75 years. Projects of incredible national importance, from our public safety with a bipartisan gun bill, all the way to keeping this country competitive when it comes to science and technology and making sure America leads with our CHIPS Act. But there's something that is almost poetic about a president who rode Amtrak every day when he was a senator, or regularly, that he is going to go down as the president that finally got these rail tunnels moving and the resources to complete it. And so today, with gratitude to everyone involved, from the workers who will do it, the job, to the legislators who got so much done, I want to give my most hearty thank you, hallelujah, amen. Praise the Lord for our President of the United States, Joe Biden. Thank you.
What? Justin, you beat me to it. Are you on radio? Are you on radio or no? No, sir. Oh, here we go. Perfect time.
Hey guys, can you smile for me? Yeah. Aren't you ready? Thank you. Hey guys, give me a smile. Thank you.
Good, sir. Great hair. You too. Thank you very much. I was about to say, I'm very happy where I'm sitting. I'm not complaining about the tight seats today. Oh my gosh, Governor. You gotta text that. Yes. It's nice to go to my right, but as a Democrat, I gotta get my left. Mayor, come on, man, give me some smile. Everybody squeeze in. Get in there. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Come on, Menendez, for crying out loud. Put your phone down and smile. Look at your dad.
Please welcome Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Hello, everybody. What a great day. What a great afternoon. And it is so great to be here to celebrate a major milestone in the most consequential infrastructure project in all of America, Gateway. Now, as many of you know, for a long time now, this project has been my passion. It's a labor of love. And after many false starts and obstacles placed in our way, Gateway is full speed ahead. With today's new dollars, Gateway's future is assured. Finally, we can say Gateway will be built. So, hooray, 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 here comes Gateway. I want to thank Governor Hochul, Governor Murphy, Bob Menendez, Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, Mayor Adams, Secretary Buttigieg, Deputy Secretary Polly, who worked for me for many years, for all their help on this project. Now, why is this project so important? Because the rail tunnels under the Hudson River are an essential artery that moves countless people and goods along the entire eastern seaboard. If that artery gets backed up, then the heart of our national economy would cease to pump. America would go into a recession overnight. Millions of people would lose their jobs. The George Washington Bridge, Holland, and Lincoln tunnels would be jammed with traffic 24/7. Pollution would increase exponentially. Now, all too often, we as a society fail to look far enough ahead to plan for the worst-case scenario in advance and avoid it, taking real steps to prevent it. But in this case, thankfully, we are looking ahead. We are acting, and Gateway is finally coming down the tracks. Now, my late father, who passed away a year ago, taught me a lot of lessons that still stick with me. He's right here, right now. And the most important was this: if you know what you're doing is right, and if you persist and persist and persist, then you will succeed. So we have persisted, and now we are succeeding. When I started talking about Gateway more than a decade ago, there were a lot of people who refused to see the light. We all remember Governor Christie abruptly pulling the plug on the first iteration of Gateway, one of the worst decisions that any governor on either side of the Hudson has made. We had to start all over again. I worked hard to stand up the Gateway Development Corporation, and we got the states of New York and New Jersey to each agree to contribute 25% of the cost of the project in exchange for the federal government contributing 50%. Thank you, Governors Hochul and Governor Murphy. We painstakingly negotiated the technical principles of a financing agreement where federal loans to the states would count as a local share of funding. Once again, we finally had the pieces back in place. And once again, a Republican bully tried to wreak havoc. As soon as Donald Trump took office, he set about sabotaging Gateway by halting all administrative approvals on completely bogus grounds. He said he wouldn't even negotiate on Gateway until there was money to build his wall. He shut down the government for weeks. When he invited me into the Oval Office to try and force an agreement to build the wall and then maybe Gateway, I had a few choice Brooklyn words for him. No effing way, Mr. President. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't make any progress during those years. We worked hard in the delegation, New Jersey and New York, to secure tens of billions of dollars in appropriations for various federal spending accounts that Gateway could use once President Trump was gone. But what I couldn't have anticipated then is that the person who would replace Trump would happen to be the best possible person anywhere to move Gateway forward, Mr. Amtrak himself, Joe Biden. A man, a president, who is more interested in tearing down walls that separate us than he is in building them. Who, thanks to his deft negotiation and deep relationships on Capitol Hill, was able to transform the cruel illusion of Trump's so-called infrastructure week after week after week into an infrastructure decade that will be funded by the amazing $1.2 trillion Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that we passed into law. And we're going to build this infrastructure decade, where are union folks, with tens of thousands of new, good-paying union jobs. All unions, all good-paying. We love you. As Majority Leader, I made sure that the bipartisan infrastructure law included formulas and allocations that will provide ample funding for Gateway and many, many, many other good projects across New York, New Jersey, and across the country. And one of these programs that we got funded is the MEGA program, which is providing the $292 million grant that we are celebrating today to build the next phase of the Box Tunnel. This is the first and necessary starting point of Gateway. But it's also one of the hardest parts of Gateway because it cuts through solid Manhattan bedrock to form the entry point of the two new underwater rail tunnels that are the centerpiece of the project. Thanks to this historic $292 million investment, led by the President, passed by my Senate and House colleagues, Gateway is finally leaving the station. Now, you can use whatever train metaphor you want, anyone you want, but get on the Joe Biden Express now, because we are not stopping. For 4 years, the former president was shoveling you-know-what. And now we're going to put real shovels in the ground, wielded by real American workers. That's the basic contrast between this presidency and the last. Empty rhetoric versus experienced leadership. Schoolyard bullying versus building consensus. Personal grievances versus getting things done. And so, it is my absolute, wonderful, wonderful, great pleasure to welcome to my beloved city the man who knows infrastructure, public transit better than anybody in America, and who is going to make sure that we get Gateway done, the President of the United States, Joseph Robinette Biden.
Hello, hello, hello. Please have a seat if you have one. Well, thank you. Chuck, thanks for the introduction. That's worth the trip. Thank you, really. Thank you very much. And look, one person in particular pushed relentlessly for the advance this Gateway project and improve rail transit in the region. I don't know how many times I've heard from Chuck about this project. Time and time and time again. He didn't let anything stop him because he knows how incredibly critical it is to people's lives and the strength of the economy of New York and New Jersey, and quite frankly, all across the country. And that's Chuck Schumer. He's relentless. He never gives up. No one has done more to make today a reality, and it's truly, this is Chuck Schumer Day, pal. You got it done. Chuck, you've done a hell of a job, and a big thanks to the rest of the delegation as well. Senator Gillibrand, who's here, the true champion of this state, and who always puts New York first. And she makes sure everybody in the military is straightened up, too, but that's a different story. Mayor Adams, thank you for, where's Mayor Adams? There you are, Mayor Adams. Good to see you, pal. Thank you for the passport into the city. And Governor Hochul, thank you as well. We got a chance to speak a little bit earlier. And Governor Murphy, you've been a great friend a long time. Your leadership has been vital to this project, and the New Jersey congressional delegation fought like hell to push forward what all this entails. And I want to thank everybody here. I want to thank Bob Menendez. Where are you, Bob? There you are. Good to see you, Bob. And Cory Booker, two great senators from New Jersey. And I also want to, we try to shut down, while others try to shut this down, I made clear this is a national priority. And I told you that we'd get this done, and we did it together. I want to thank Representative Gottheimer as well, and the two members of the New Jersey congressional delegation, Rob Menendez, who's smarter than his dad, and Don Goldman. I know because my son was smarter than I was. So, look, for being here, we got a lot of work to do, and we got a lot of work to get together. You're going to pay for that when you get home, right? But look, and I want to thank everyone from Amtrak. You guys, and MTA's up there too. I see that. For this Gateway Development Commission is really important. I thank you for your partnership. Folks, just outside this space, the first piece of the new Hudson Tunnel is being built. It's one of the biggest parts of the Gateway program. Now let me say this at the outset. This is just the beginning of finally constructing a 21st century rail system that's long, long overdue in this country. This project is critical to transforming the Northeast Corridor, increasing speeds, capacity, reliability, and safety. In addition to getting folks out of cars and onto trains, we're going to help the environment as well, because we're going to, all the studies show, and I've been harping on this since the mid-'70s, that every study shows you can get from point A to point B on rail as faster than you can in an automobile. You don't take the car, you get in the train. And that's how important this project is for up to 200,000 passengers who take Amtrak or New Jersey Transit under the Hudson River every single day. And you know, it matters a lot, the Northeast Corridor from here to Boston, Boston to Washington, all the way down. For years, people talked about fixing this tunnel. But thanks to the leadership of Chuck and the bipartisan infrastructure law, we're finally getting this done. This law is the most significant investment in rail, since we created Amtrak over 50 years ago. And billions are going to projects along the Northeast Corridor, including replacing the existing Hudson Tunnel. That's why it's so important. 2,200 trains run along the Northeast Corridor every single day. It's the busiest corridor in the United States of America and one of the busiest in the world. And a problem anywhere along the line means delays up and down the East Coast for folks trying to get to work, businesses trying to ship goods, travelers trying to get to see their families. And by the way, as a U.S. Senator, I commuted for 36 years every single solitary day the Senate was in session. I traveled over 1,100,000 miles on Amtrak. And I can tell you where all the delays were. And they weren't all in Wilmington, Delaware. So I know it to be a fact. If this line shuts down for just one day, it will cost the American economy $100 million a day in cost. The current Hudson River Rail Tunnel can be a major choke point, a critical link to New York Penn Station, the busiest train station in all of America. This tunnel opened for business in 1910, 113 years ago, and the structure is literally deteriorating. The roof is leaking, the floor is sinking. Plus, it was badly damaged by Superstorm Sandy. I was the vice president. I came and walked through this tunnel. You ought to see it. Today, over 10 years later, there's still remnants of seawater in the tunnel eating away at the concrete, the steel, and the electrical components within the tunnel. In 2020, there were over 12,000 minutes in delay in just 1 year. 12,000 minutes of delay. The United States of America, for God's sake, what are we doing? This is the United States of America. We know better. We're so much brighter than that. And now we're going to prove it. We're going to rebuild the existing tunnel, but we can't do that until we build a brand new, entirely different and separate tunnel. You can't fix the first one without building the new one. And that tunnel is you're going to run at faster speeds with no interruptions. Be running at 100 miles an hour, while the original tunnel is under construction. That'll mean fewer delays, less risk, and major shutdowns. The new tunnel is going to have 2 tubes with 1 track in each tube, so they can keep operating even if one side breaks down. But it's going to be safer, more resilient, more reliable, and the biggest rail line in the United States of America. And to get it done is the first step. We're completing the concrete casing under the Hudson Yards, as Chuck referenced, which Chuck has been talking about. Hudson Yards sits above where the new tunnel will connect to Penn Station. This is a critical step for everything else we're going to do in the corridor and rail, period. As you may know, work started in Hudson Yards site in 2013, but stalled due to lack of funding. But thanks to and I emphasize the bipartisan infrastructure law, we now have the money and we're finally going to get it done. When the project is complete, trains will be in and out of New York more quickly, more safely, and with fewer interruptions. This is only one part, though, of the overall Gateway program to improve train travel between New York and New Jersey. For example, last year we also broke ground on the Portal North Bridge, Gov, you and I, in New Jersey. And thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, we're rebuilding 2 other critical bridges, Sawtooth and Docks Bridge, both in North Jersey. All told, this is one of the biggest and most consequential projects in the country. But it's going to take time. It's a multi-billion-dollar effort between the states and the federal government. But we finally have the money, and we're going to get it done. I promise you, we're going to get it done. folks, we're making similar investments to improve rail up and down the Northeast Corridor. Yesterday, I was in Baltimore for a similar announcement of the Baltimore-Potomac Tunnel, another critical junction that was built nearly 150 years ago. No changes in 150 years. I walked through that sucker, too. Oh, you think I'm joking? I'm not. Man, this has been, when you commute on a highway every single day, and that was my highway, you get interested in when things are told that things are falling apart. And over the next 2 years, we're going to hit milestones of other rail projects, including the East River Tunnel here in New York, the Susquehanna Bridge in Maryland, the Connecticut River Bridge. And we're not stopping at all, just with rail. Early this month, I was in Kentucky with the Republican leader. We're spending over $1 billion on the Brent Spence Bridge over the Ohio and Kentucky River they've been trying to fix for years and years. We're repairing the original bridge and building an entirely new one parallel to it. You know, over that bridge today, which keeps breaking down, trucks carry roughly $2 billion worth of freight goods every single day across that bridge now, from Florida to Canada. The bridge was built 60 years ago. Folks have been talking about fixing it for decades, but now we're going to get it done. And there's more that we're doing. For example, up in the Bronx, we're redeveloping the Hunts Point Terminal produce market, which handles 60% of New York's fruits and vegetables, 60%. We're expanding refrigerated warehouse space, installing charging stations for electric vehicles so delivery trucks can get in and out faster and recharge and return for the return trip. On Staten Island, we're upgrading the port at Arthur Kill Terminal site to turn it into a state-of-the-art assembly site for wind turbines. By the way, just one blade of these new wind turbines is 102 yards long. 102 yards long. The ships carrying this equipment are huge, so we're dredging a 35-foot basin so the ships can reach the site. And with the support of the governor of New Jersey, we're reconstituting nearly 3 miles of highway that's now structurally obsolete, leading to the Port of Camden. And we're repairing Point Pleasant Canal and Cape May Canal, critical waterways for 2 communities that are gems in the New Jersey shore. And one of the things about the infrastructure law that I'm most excited about is we're doing all of this with all American workers. All American workers. And by the way, and all of it is union labor. All of it. Every freaking one. Union labor. You all think I'm kidding, I'm not. Yesterday in Baltimore, I announced that we're building that project under the new project labor agreement. We're making sure there's one of these projects as well here. The agreement to contractors and unions to put in place an agreement before construction begins to ensure major projects are handled with well-trained, highly skilled union workers. They resolve disputes ahead of time, ensuring safer work sites, avoiding disruptions and work stoppages that can cause expensive and extensive delays down the line. So it's not just good for workers, it's good for taxpayers too. Amtrak and the building trades that agreed to the project labor agreement will be in place across the major rail construction projects up and down the Northeast Corridor. And the Hudson River Tunnel project will lead to 72,000 good paying jobs over its lifetime. Laborers, electricians, carpenters, cement masons, iron workers, operating engineers, and more. Good jobs you can raise a family on. And most don't require a college degree, but they do require 4 years of apprenticeships, training programs. It's one of the reasons why the United States has the best trained workers in the world. That's not a hyperbole, we do. Everybody thinks you want to join the IBEW, you just show up, you're an electrician. After 4 years, an apprenticeship, maybe. So you guys are the best in the world, you really are. And that's this project and others like it across the country are all about, making investments in America's cities and towns, in America's heartlands, in the rural areas as well. It's about making things here in America again. It's about good jobs. It's about the dignity of work. My dad used to say, Joey, this is God's truth, say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to turn and look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. And he meant it. It's about respect and self-worth. And folks, it's about damn time. For too long, we've talked about asserting American leadership once again, building the best economy in the world. But to have the best economy in the world, you have to have the best infrastructure in the world. People don't build factories where they're not rail stations, where they're not ports, where they're not access to highways. They don't attract businesses unless you have the best infrastructure to get products to market, to create thousands of good-paying jobs. For most of the last century, our economy led the world by a significant margin because we invested in our people, and we invested in ourselves, we invested in research and development in America. We used to invest 0.2% of our GDP in research and development. That's what we did 40 years ago. It's down to 0.7%. Along the way, we stopped. We used to rank number 1 in the world in research and development. Now we rank number 9. The United States is number 9. China is number 8. Now they rank number 2. Folks, we risk losing the edge as a nation, and China and the rest of the world are catching up for decades. The backbone of America has been the middle class, and it's been hollowed out. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs moved overseas because labor was cheap over there. We exported jobs and imported their products. May have helped the corporate bottom line, but didn't help many Americans. When jobs move overseas, factories at home closed down. Once thriving cities and towns became shadows of what they used to be. And they lost a sense of their self-worth along the way. And when those towns were hollowed out, something else was lost. Pride, self-esteem, a sense of self-worth. These are efforts of the so-called trickle-down economics. The view from Park Avenue that says the wealthy and maybe help them, and maybe it'll trickle down to everybody else. But there's another view, the one that I hold. The majority of the people hold, I think, like the folks in the city where I was born in Scranton, or the town I was raised in, Claymont, Delaware. They view America's workers as ready to work hard as hell, given an even shot. They just need the shot, though. They get up every morning and go to work and bust their necks trying to make an honest living. Look, folks, I've said it many times. Wall Street is important, but it didn't build this country. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class. I mean it. When I ran for president, I agreed that we're going to build from the bottom up and the middle out to bring back good-paying jobs you can raise a family on, whether or not you went to college, to give families more breathing room, to invest in ourselves again, invest in America again. And that's what we've done. In my first 2 years in office, the 2 strongest years of job growth on record in the entire history of the United States of America. We've created nearly 11 million jobs, including 750,000 manufacturing jobs in 2 years. And we're just getting started. Where in the hell is it written that say America can't lead the world again in manufacturing? Where is that written? In addition, we have private major investment totaling $300 billion in just one industry. One industry, semiconductors, generating significant job opportunities, American manufacturing. For 4 decades, we imported products and exported jobs. Now America is exporting products and creating jobs. Well, there's much more to do about what we're going to do to modernize the modern rail. Let me close with this. The Americans see these projects popping up across the country, and it sends an important message that we're going to, when we work together, like we did in the bipartisan law and the CHIPS law, there's nothing we can't do. Nothing. When the hell has America ever set a goal that it didn't reach? When has it ever? Name me a time. Name me a time when America's gone through a crunch and didn't come out stronger on the other side than went in. We can get really big things done. We're sort of losing confidence in ourselves. We can do anything. We really can. We can move this nation forward. We can send another message as well. Message of pride. Pride in our country. Pride in what we can do together. That sense of self-worth, knowing you can provide for your family. As I've long said, it's been a really bad bet to bet against America. And I can honestly say, as I stand here today, and I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's prospects in my entire life. We just have to remember who the hell we are. We are the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity, nothing at all. And it's starting right here. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.